What's going on, everybody? Click that like button and tombstone it in my ass.
I don't know why I said that. But yo, what's going on, everybody? Big news. Leave a like, leave a sub, all that BS. Brock Lesnar, I said leave a like down below. Brock Lesnar no longer listed, no longer showing up, no longer advertised for WrestleMania Backlash. It's all over. Brock Lesnar has been pulled. Mark Middleton, Wrestling Inc. News, not sure on the source 100% yet. Could be WWE themselves. But it says here, you guys can check out the details there. It's a premium live event. Lesnar was on the poster stuff. Whoa, little alert there. Oh my Jesus Christ, scared the shit out of me. Brock Lesnar has not been seen since WrestleMania 38. Jesus Christ, what's going on my computer right now? What is happening? I don't know. Sorry about that. I hope I made you think something was wrong with your computer. But yeah, very weird. He was advertised for WrestleMania Backlash, and I thought we for sure were going to see him do something. I actually thought he might end up coming out and going toe-to-toe with somebody like Braun Breaker or Tommaso Ciampa or somebody like that, to where he wins but gets his win back, but it's a big match sort of thing, and he builds somebody up. Whoever that somebody is, I don't know. And that's where I thought that, Jesus, shit's going off everywhere in my place. But yeah, there's no sign of that right now. Lesnar just not advertised at all, so he might be done for a little bit, and I don't know why. Or maybe there's something going on we don't know about, unless there's some kind of surprise, booking happening with him. I'm not sure about that. It is what it is. People would say, well, who is he going to face? Roman Reigns? I don't know. Let me know who you guys want Brock Lesnar to face. Jesus fucking Christ, what is going on in my house? What, am I on the Starship Enterprise? Wow, dude, this is what happens when you're super popular, you know what I mean? What are you going to do? By the way, if you guys have a question, comment, or something you want to say to me, leave it in a super thanks down below if you can, or just comment down below. Either way, it's fine. Good Lord, they're still talking. Oh, my God. But anyway, Jesus. But yeah, there's so much to get to here, man, with all this Brock Lesnar stuff that we didn't get to the other day, and it's like, I don't know where to begin with it. I don't want to get into it. That's the thing. I don't care. I don't care that much about the Lesnar thing. In my opinion, I think that, maybe you have Lesnar show up as a surprise. Like if you have Roman Reigns face somebody else, Roman Reigns defeats that person, then at the end of the match, the Usos and Reigns, beat the shit out of him, beat the crap out of this challenger for the belt, and then you have Brock Lesnar show up, during the WrestleMania Backlash to go after Reigns and everybody, and, you hit me in the balls type of thing. And then they could continue the story after that, as opposed to Lesnar and Brock being at WrestleMania Backlash. I think most people, are we not sick of this, guys? But this is the story, where are you going to go? So it just feels like Lesnar's going to maybe get Reigns again. But if I was WWE, I would keep Lesnar away, I suppose, because how are you going to get out of Lesnar losing again? How are you going to get out of, Lesnar losing to Roman Reigns again? He's already lost now at WrestleMania, and I know that Roman cheated. So, the next thing is to just beat him outright, and without hitting him in the nuts and that sort of thing. So there is that still to be had where, because that's they're out. Of Lesnar being hit in the balls, whatever it was. So they've still got that to go off of. A clean victory, a 100% clean victory for Reigns is something that still can be had, But yeah, it's a strange thing, but I understand it, and I get why they could do it or they couldn't. I gave you sort of several different little examples there of, what I think they could do and what they might do and why, I suppose. But after that, who's going to stop Reigns? And that really gets into, what we talked about the last time, about who can stop Roman Reigns. And by the way, guys, click that like button, hit that sub if you're brand new. We got more to talk about here. And join the Patreon, patreon.com/JoeCronin. Hit the like button and leave a comment down below. If you super thanks it, I will pin your super thanks. But anyway, so, remember what we said the last time. EC title back in the day. Yeah, I think that in ECW, New Jack could have became a champion. I don't think he really should have been. I always felt New Jack was such an outsider. Even in EC, did I say EC3? Even in ECW, the guy was so crazy and an outsider that it almost added to his, persona of we don't know what this guy's going to do by having him be the way he was. If he'd won championships, he would almost appear too legitimate in a way. But, I mean, is the guy deserving of being a champion? Probably, yeah. But, I mean, and could he have been? Of course. But why do I have two mics? I'll never know. But, I don't think that, for his persona and what he was doing, no championship titles made him seem that much more dangerous. Almost the feeling of like, for anybody who's a smart mark at the time in the 90s, right? To feel like, well, they would never put a belt on him. He's too dangerous. You don't know what he's going to do. He could take the belt. I mean, all those sort of things. So they kind of added to his mystique. So rest in peace to New Jack, though. Still kind of crazy that he's not here. But it feels that way about everybody who has been passing away over the last 3 years, especially with, getting up there in age myself now. Pedwell on Twitter said, who will dethrone Roman? I told you this months ago that I believed that I wanted it to be Cody Rhodes. I wanted him to come in the WWE, get a following, become the new Triple H, essentially. I've loved what Cody Rhodes does. He's got a great theme, great entrance, great everything. But that will depend on how much the WWE Universe ends up cheering for him and how well he's booked going forward. I've been wrong about these things before, such as Matt Hardy coming to the WWE, Matt Hardy's Woken gimmick, and then Matt Hardy's broken gimmick going in AEW. They couldn't recreate the 2016 magic of TNA Impact Wrestling. So I would say Cody Rhodes. I think WWE wants Braun Breaker to be that guy. So that right there puts Braun Breaker really at the top. The fans would have to turn on Braun Breaker, or the fans would have to really not accept him at all for them to skew, I think, from Braun Breaker. Cody Rhodes would have to be undeniably undeniable in order to be in that category. I think Cody is going to face Roman and lose. And then Cody will go on to have a lot of success, but he won't beat Roman right away. And that will leave you with Braun Breaker eventually to show up, and maybe he'll be the guy. But if he's not, then Cody can still come around again. That's my opinion and how I would do it. And I know that I'm saying make Cody Rhodes that guy, but that doesn't mean I would rule out Braun Breaker. I would attempt to make Braun Breaker a top guy and attempt to keep Cody Rhodes on top as well. And I would see who the people embrace and see if we have, something going there. And if we do have somebody that's equal or bigger than Roman seeming, now you know who's going to beat him. But if you don't get there and you don't get that, well, then maybe nobody will beat him at that point. Pedwell, by the way, this podcast is going to continue on Patreon, so when this video ends, this podcast will continue in a bonus part where I will talk about Halo Episode 3, Picard, I believe, and maybe some other things as well. So look for that up on Patreon. Who will be the next to defect to AEW, WWE? This is the biggest question. This is the most common question I've gotten from a million different people. And that's an exaggeration, obviously, but the bottom line is I keep seeing the question come up over and over and over again, even after I answer it. So I'm assuming people missed my previous videos. And obviously, I know you guys can't watch all 7 hours of a stream, so if I mention it 3 hours into the stream, you didn't hear it. I get it. So I don't mind repeating things over and over again. And I don't mind break because things change too, and I come up with other things in my mind. But I really do think it's the biggest name that's going to come from AEW. Does feel like it's going to be potentially MJF, because I think MJF is going into business for himself, and I know that it might be part of the storyline as well. That's fine. I get it. I think it's working. I think it's working for him. It's working for Tony, but it's also going to work against Tony eventually because you know what? In the end, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. Because if WWE says, hey, man, let's bring that guy over for $500,000. Hey, let's bring that guy over for $1 million. You know what I mean? Tony Khan is going to pay MJF over $1 million. You think so? We're going to find out, I bet, based on what's going on, if they like him. I don't know. I mean, he won't have that music that's so good in AEW. I mean, he's got kind of a generic theme, but it just works so well for him. I wonder how WWE could create it. I almost look at MJF as like EC3. You know, WWE couldn't handle EC3 the proper way, and I don't think they're going to handle MJF the proper way. So, you know, unfortunately, I think MJF would be screwed going to WWE, but that's me, unless they understand what they're getting and they're going to utilize him the correct way. They're going to utilize him like the $1 Million Man or like something like that, and Vince goes, "You remind me of the $1 Million Man or Ted DiBiase or Rick Model Martel," or, you know, people like that. Obviously, he can speak much better than Rick, you know, but there's so many more layers to MJF. So will WWE understand his value? But, yeah, he could be the next one to go. And Cody could understand his value, so he's got an advocate there. Cody Rhodes, who can advocate for MJF of, listen, Vince, take a look at some of these videos of this guy. And then Vince can say, well, he can speak damn well. You know, he's got a good voice. He can speak really well. He's got a good, whatever the fuck else. You know, he's got that. I'm getting called right now, so let me just see. But, yeah, the bottom line is, you know, Vince taking a look at some of the footage of MJF, you know. But see, Vince has had people kind of like this. My fear is that Vince will see MJF as, oh, you know, we had a guy like this guy. His name was Matt Stryker. We had, I am worried that Vince would see MJF as just the generic heel, and then he would turn him into a Santino character or something like that, because you guys have seen how MJF comes off when he's treated with comedy. You saw that with Jericho. Now, I liked what Jericho did with MJF, but there was a lot of people who criticized that and said Jericho held MJF back by doing all these comedy skits with him. And I can understand that. MJF was operating at about a 7 out of 10 at that time. But when MJF gets real serious and angry and mean, he operates at about an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. He operates at a phenomenal level when he gets dead serious, mean, and psychotic almost. And he turns it way on. But with, Chris Jericho, it was kind of like a circus sideshow comedy act, Three Stooges. And it felt like he brought MJF down a bit. And would that happen if he goes to WWE? So those are my concerns with MJF and that stuff, you know, with him going to WWE. Will he be able to be the MJF that we all know that he can be? And even when he sort of strayed from the MJF that we know he can be and did a little bit of comedy with Chris Jericho, you know, that was criticized. Although I don't mind it myself. I like Jericho and his chemistry with MJF, but there's definitely another level of MJF. You know, he was kind of doing the Police Academy bad guy, villain stuff with Jericho, whereas, you know, recently with CM Punk, you really get into the serious darkness of it all. Is Braun Breaker over, says Pedwell. I think Braun Breaker has a buzz about him, similar to Hook. But I think Hook has been built up a lot as well. But will the mainstream group of fans believe it? Believe the hype? I don't know. Right now, they've created a buzz that we're all aware of. So I would argue that there's a buzz that we're all aware of. But do we have, but is he over? I don't think so. I think he's got a smattering of support, though. He's got some supporters. He's got the buzz rolling. So I will say that the snowball is rolling. The snowball is starting to roll down the hill and is starting to acquire other snow and turning into the first layer of a round snowman's bottom, that's good. You know, it's not a direct no or a maybe or whatever. He is building momentum a little bit. But will he build that momentum the correct way? I don't know. So we have other questions here. By the way, the person who leaves a super thanks down below, I will pin you to the top of this video, or whoever is the top super thanks person down below and wants to sponsor and support these videos and a video like this one. You guys are saving the channel. Thank you for that. And we got more here. And the next is we got stuff on Pedwell, left me other great things. Strowman, is he the new Ryback? And Tammy Cinch, Sonny, we're going to talk about her. Brock Lesnar's next feud and things like that. There's even more. I want to thank you to Brian Jardine, who upped his Patreon pledge to $32.60 per month. Hates AEW. Braun Strowman's a weird guy. I'm gonna tell you right now. You know what I mean? Yo, what's up, George? I like George Bush. I like missiles. I like guns. I like George Bush. You could probably get away with cradling a couple of missiles, shooting a couple of guns. That's not bad to me. I have no problem with that. I mean, the missile one, that's a bit weird. Holding the missile, that's a little strange. But there's nothing worse than the picture with George Bush. You know what I mean? Taking a picture with a war criminal liar, a sick person who enacted the Patriot Act when you're supposed to be so patriotic. This is the biggest, contradiction ever. I thought you loved America, but I guess you don't because you're hugging the guy who helped get the Patriot Act passed to take away all our freedoms. So Braun Strowman is a weird guy. Ryback, his career is dead. Ryback is dead. The guy spends most time talking about his bots or his botted fucking TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. He's a weird person. Fuck Ryback. This is the Joe Cronin Show. You guys are the best. I hope you leave a comment or a super thanks down below. And if you're brand new, give us a sub. We'll be live tonight with the big one. That's right, the big one. AEW Dynamite is tonight. The review is tonight, and I'll see you then.